gentlemen, our first speaker for the day is Dr. Akash Khurana. Dr. Akash is a mechanical engineer, an MBA from XLRI, and an MPhil and PhD from the Tata Institute of Social Sciences. He was an executive with Tata Motors before he moved on to parallel vocations in M&E, HR, and academics. He is the author of the book Mentormorphosis, Stories for Mentoring the Leader in You, and has recently been appointed Professor Emeritus of the MERI Group of Institutions. He has written over 20 screenplays, including Bazigar, for which he received the Filmfare Award. He has acted in nearly 60 feature films, starting with Shyam Benegal's Kalyug. In television, he has written over 200 episodes and acted in about 15 TV serials covering nearly 50 episodes. He has also acted in web series streaming on multiple OTT platforms. The River of Love, a feature film he has directed, is currently making waves at international festivals and has garnered multiple awards. He is a music composer and lyricist and an avid musician. So an engineer, actor, writer, director, musician, lyricist, corporate executive, CEO, faculty. But today he is with us wearing his hat as an author of the book Mentormorphosis. And to share with us more about his book, please put your hands together for Dr. Akash Khurana.
So I'll be very honest. This is a great privilege and a great opportunity for me to be addressing this august group. I'm grateful to Rohit Jarajani of Express Book Service in Pune, Geetu Bartholia of Rupa Publications, my publisher, Sudhir Kamath and Anup Mathur of Core Media Group for making this possible and having me here. Congratulations for the 10 years and congratulations to all the award winners. So as I see, I think most of you present here are either Gen X or millennials. I am a boomer, and probably I might well be the oldest person in this room. But rather a boomer, and rather than feel like a fossil, I feel fortunate. Because I've actually had hands-on experience with computing and information technology for the last 6 decades. And I'll tell you how. When I was in school, my father introduced me to the slide rule. You know what a slide rule is? It's a mechanical analog computer used for multiplication and division and for some functions like roots, logarithms, trigonometry, but not often for subtraction and addition. And then in class, we used log tables for difficult arithmetic calculations. And much later, I think maybe after engineering college, I started using the Casio digital calculator. When I joined Tata Motors, actually Telco, Tata Engineering, now Tata Motors, after my MBA, we used to outsource our data processing to TCS. And those were the days when keyed and punched cards used to provide binary inputs to large IBM motherboards. And the output came out in reams and reams of continuous paper stationery. And since I was handling spare parts for Telco, they used to weigh a ton. And all our office correspondence used to be dictated to stenographers who used to type them out. And the privileged stenographers used to have electric typewriters. And then, when I became a screenwriter in 1988, I started using a word processor and continued working on MS-DOS and floppy disks into the 90s for my screenplays, my MPhil papers, my PhD thesis. And it was later when I went to the US that I learned word processing on the Mac because I was invited by a studio to write a screenplay for a TV series based out of there. And then when I had to edit my films, I turned to Mac again for their Final Cut Pro editing software. And now, of course, all of us have smartphones that made us smarter. The information of the world now is in our pockets. This is a far cry from the log tables of old. And recently, I did a session for Stanton Chase on how global CHROs leverage AI for succession planning and how mentoring can be a critical catalyst in this era of technology, where technology is relentlessly reshaping our lives. Now, however puerile this may sound, the reason I thought it was important to share this was because revisiting history makes you realize the true value of your legacy. Rome was not built in a day, and nor was digital technology. It is the efforts of your predecessors that are responsible for your achievements of today. They also say that those who forget history are condemned to repeat it. And in this context, I would like to read a few excerpts from my book, which is called Mentormorphosis, Stories for Mentoring the Leader in You. And this is from a chapter called The Postmodern Frankenstein. How many of you have seen a film called AI by Steven Spielberg? Great. Those who haven't, check it out. Might become more relevant after what I tell you today. Will you stop moving, please? AI is about a character, a little boy called David, who's actually a robot. And the quote at the beginning of this chapter refers to him. So a character called Henry Swinton says, think about this. If he was created to love, then it's reasonable to assume he knows how to hate. And if pushed to those extremes, what is he really capable of? So it was 2 centuries ago that Mary Shelley wrote her Gothic novel, Frankenstein, the postmodern Prometheus, about a scientist named Victor Frankenstein and the monster he created, who eventually became known in folklore by the name of his creator. On seeing the ugliness of his creation, Frankenstein was filled with disgust by something that was, in fact, meant to be a beautiful manifestation of a dream to help rid the human race of disease. After being abandoned and denied human love and compassion, the creature went on a horrific, murderous rampage. In the novel, Shelley warns of the danger of man acquiring the knowledge to become a creator and play God in the laboratory. If humans see machines or artificial intelligence, AI, as threats rather than part of their own creation, they themselves bring about the very state of alienation that they fear. Of course, there have been AI goof-ups like bots becoming racist Nazis and software tools stealing money and creating fake images. The consequences get more serious when biased algorithms are in charge of deciding who should be approved for a bank loan, whom to hire or admit to a university, or whether to kill a suspect in a police chase. But we need to go back to the Frankenstein story to further understand such implications for a mentor-protege relationship. The monster eventually takes refuge in a cottage where, hidden from the eyes of the dwellers, he learns about the elements of social life. Tempted to get rid of his unbearable solitude, he makes the grave error of assuming that the virtues of his heart will win over the family in the cottage. The tragic result is predictable. Horrified by his repugnant appearance, they flee, and an irrevocable wrath, the monster turns against the heartless world and becomes vicious. The onerous question that we are left with at the end of the novel is whether things would have turned out differently for the protege had the humans around him, including his own mentor, shown him more empathy and compassion which are the attributes of emotional intelligence. So the question here is not whether AI is essential. It undeniably is, given the people in this room, but whether we are losing our grip on EI in the pursuit of technological excellence. Instinctively, Arup's presentation brought in shades of EI only in a slide which said employee well-being. The rest of it mostly hard-nosed, which I understand is the agenda of this forum. But it just kind of underlines my point. Technology is taking over specific human skills and capabilities within the workforce. Those who want to keep their skills valuable need to penetrate the emotional gaps of AI, which makes EI a critical skill. EI will also become a significant factor in the recruitment process as AI continues to grow. Hence, AI and EI are complementary. AI enhances efficiency, provides insights, but struggles to navigate the nuances of human relationships. AI cannot reason for you. EI is essential for understanding the feelings and motivations of employees, customers, and stakeholders. AI can't replace the attributes of authentic leadership. You just saw the opening slide, which, by the way, was magnificent, whoever's done that, the introduction to CIO Power List. Outstanding presentation. But AI can't, when it comes to leaders, can't replace the attributes of authentic leadership like purpose and passion, values and behavior, relationships and connectedness, and heart and compassion. Also, ethical considerations, important, require EI. So, what are the attributes of, we all know, everyone knows. What are the attributes of emotional intelligence? Any of you, I'm sure most of you might be familiar with Daniel Goleman's constructs of EI. If not, I will reiterate. Daniel Goleman's model outlines 5 main, and this is important when it comes to designing or training, learning and development, mentoring. One is self-awareness about your emotions, your strengths, limitations, and how it affects others. The other is self-regulation, managing your emotions and adapting to changing circumstances. Social skills, managing relationships to benefit people in different situations. 4, and this to my mind is the most critical when it comes to EI, empathy. Being considerate to other people's feelings by imagining yourself in their position. And there might be a day when the human-computer interaction might be it's a utopia. I hope it is, because you can't render humans redundant. That it might be an equation worthy of what we call an empathetic relationship between humans and computers. And the fifth, of course, is motivation, being driven to achieve goals happily. Not efficiently, that's the AI's job, but effectively, which I think it's achieving goals efficiently and happily, effectively. So based on these attributes and assuming you are in sync with what I've just said, what could be the EI vision for an organization? Implementing and sustaining a culture of emotional intelligence customized to meet the diverse needs of individuals across the organization. A mission statement that can emanate from that vision is creating a continuous learning environment where emotional intelligence principles are integrated into everyday work practices and moving from knowing to doing, from concepts to lived experiences. And what would the EI strategy then be? Identify EI-driven soft skills, including communication and listening skills. Use learning and development sessions to build these skills. Simulate sessions that allow demonstration of EI skills. Simulate situations to build empathy among employees to foster mutual respect, trust, and collaboration. So mentoring, in the space of learning and development, mentoring can be a strategy for fostering emotional intelligence. I don't see the timer. Anyone clocking this? Oh, 10. Okay. So effective mentorship can be structured to various models, each tailored to specific goals. In my book, hopefully some of you will get to see it soon, I have developed 14 types of mentors, depending on the various stages in life of mentoring. In the context of today's session, I will be referring to only 3. One is vocational mentors, which all of you are and can be. Vocational mentors use their industry and domain experience to sort of create a positive impact in their mentees and leave a lasting impact on them. The second is distance mentors, which is based on a remote mentor-mentee interaction. This was more prevalent during the COVID and work-from-home days. And studies have shown that the mentors and mentees experience the same kind of satisfaction in remote interaction as much as those who are being mentored on a face-to-face basis. And the best part of distance mentoring is the mentee gets to find the perfect match in a mentor, irrespective of where the mentor is located. And technology clearly is a great enabler of this kind of mentoring. The third important one is called reverse mentors. Now the clincher here is that the mentor is a younger person and the seasoned senior professional is actually a mentee. Thanks to phenomenal expansions in social networks, an exchange of ideas is no longer restricted to the purview of hierarchy and age. For example, each successive generation perhaps is more aware of diversity in society than perhaps the previous generation. And I think perhaps all of you should look at this for your own learning and the quality of emotional intelligence and mutual trust that you can bring into your mentoring relationships. So the measure of the level of your emotional intelligence is your emotional quotient. A vocational mentor with a high EQ would typically be aware of a mentee's motivations for seeking a mentor and the qualities that would come into play during the mentoring process. And mentoring programs can be structured any which way to suit specific goals. They can have one-on-one sessions to address individual challenges, or they can be group mentoring sessions where you require collaborative problem solving. So what would the, briefly, mentoring objectives be? Establish clear goals and expectations, facilitate transfer of knowledge beyond the technical aspects of a job to nurture empathy, active listening, and resilience. Build mutual trust and have open, candid conversations about failures and vulnerabilities. Implement feedback loops to reinforce the principles of emotional intelligence on a day-to-day basis. And use experiential empathy for mentor connect with mentees, where mentors share their own personal experiences, relevant experiences to guide the mentees. Now, assuming, and it's a big assumption, I know how organizations work, how HR departments work, but assuming an organization develops a culture of emotional intelligence, perhaps only then is the right time where the paradigm can be flipped and you can use EI in AI, which means fine-tune it to the level of understanding where you are elevating the machine and the learnings and the algorithms to a level where they can correlate to the sensibilities of a human being, and create AI mentoring tools. The advantages are obvious: precise mentor-mentee matching. It saves time, certainly. It's data-based insights. HR analytics stop it being just analytics. And when it comes to application, the human factor is missing. 24/7 availability, and of course, it's cost-effective because it's in-house, it's yours, it's technology, you are the experts. So here's the deal. And again, assuming that any of you here believes in mentoring, then what are perhaps the action points, the next steps that you can take in your organization? If you believe in mentoring, get the buy-in of your CEO. I'm addressing this to CIOs. I just read that there are probably CEOs here as well. So if you believe in mentoring, get the buy-in of your CEO and CHRO. Collaborate with them to create relevant mentorship programs. Mentor the mentors. Train the trainers. I mean, we are assuming here that you as vocational mentors are a perfect 10 for being mentors. Maybe not. So mentor the mentors within the organization. Tough task, but I want to say it till people go deaf or the walls stop hearing. Create a calendar or a Gantt chart to chart the above activities. Appoint someone responsible. So in my time, there used to be a personnel manager. Then by the time I left corporate life, there was a VP, HR. Then the next I know, it's a CHRO. And then the C-suite mushroomed into CIOs and CTOs and CLOs under CHROs. So appoint someone responsible and accountable for these programs, for mentoring. And give me the good news one day, become the first organization to have a chief mentoring officer. That will show if your heart is in the right place. So yes, that's right. I hope I'm in time. Forward ho, and let's lead technology with the heart. Thank you very much.
Thank you.